everybody! I'm so excited. I want to welcome you to the Tanya Hoffman's Fabulous TV show with my special guest star today, Miss Tamsin Cochran. Hey, Tamsin.
Good evening and welcome to everybody.
We're going to have fun today because we have two different personalities. We've got the proper Miss English lady who loves cooking, and the person who's like, and that doesn't do much cooking. So we're going to have a lot of fun and give you some real insight today. I love bringing lots of amazing people to you to give you insights to things that you may not have even thought of before. And I love covering the whole gambit, you know, from health and wellness to family relationships to business. You know, because realistically, it's all integrated. We can't separate our lives. And I always think that's crazy when people want to do, here's work and here's family, because then your family doesn't understand what you're doing at work. It seems like a disconnect. And then we wonder why, you know, the families aren't relating to what you do during the day. So open up and let people know. I love doing that. And I wanted to give y'all a quick tip for the day, and then we'll go into Miss Tamsin and see her fabulousness. I wanted to give you a tip on connections because it is massive if you want to improve your health, relationships, and business. Because you can't do it alone. You have got to find people who have different expertise. Like Miss Tamsin was telling me about Christmas pudding, which we will get to in a minute. I will not let y'all leave without finding about this Christmas pudding thing. It's crazy. And then, but you know, I wouldn't have even known about that if she hadn't have told me. So you have to reach out and talk to diverse groups of people from all over the world and all over this great country of the U.S. if you're here in the U.S. But reach out and talk to people and actually build real relationships. Like I was talking to someone about you, Tamsin, just the other day, because we know each other. We've sat down, we've had coffee, we've actually had conversations. And that's what I love, is building those kind of relationships. Don't you find that that's like pivotal for you?
I do, actually. I think it is very important. I do love the fact we have social media and we're able to keep up with people. So although I've moved to the States, I still have an awful lot of connections with all my friends and family in the UK, but nothing beats a cup of coffee and a sit down and a real heart-to-heart and a chat with people.
I know whenever I go to a new city to go speak someplace, you know, I love reaching out to people that are there locally that I've never met in person. So I've met them on the phone or chatted with them on social media. And so a lot of times I'll do just little meet and greets where I can get a whole bunch of people together. But then those specific people that you really want to build relationships with, I always pull out an extra hour or two where it's just me and that person. So yeah, definitely do that for expansion. If you're looking especially to grow a business, there is no better way. So Tamsin is an expert, and truly an expert, in the kitchen. And every time I talk to her, I'm blown away because she has very easy ideas to do things, from, you know, just kind of how to even get kids involved, all the way to full-blown Christmas pudding that takes all day, which it still drives me crazy that you do that. But and I know with holiday coming up here in the United States, with Thanksgiving, do you have any kind of suggestions how to make Thanksgiving dinner not so separate, you know, because a lot of times it's just the women in there slaving away and the kids are off running around, but pulling people, kind of gravitating everyone together?
Wow, I didn't know that happened. So please don't tell my children or husband at any point that they're not meant to be in the kitchen. We would have such an issue. Well, we definitely do Thanksgiving very differently, I would say, to you Americans, because it's a totally new holiday to us. But we love it, and we have friends over, and we do much more of a potluck, as you say over here. Everyone brings a dish. So I'm going to actually answer that question more to how we do Christmas Day, because our Christmas Day is very reminiscent of your Thanksgiving. We get as much time off, not just one day like you do. So if I took it to a Christmas Day, massive meal, which is your Thanksgiving, how do we actually make that happen? I can tell you, we do all the prep work for Christmas Day on Christmas Eve. all of it. And we do it as a family. So we are all in the kitchen from sort of lunchtime onwards, and maybe there's a glass of wine flowing, you know, maybe that's there. But everybody has their jobs, be it peeling the carrots or chopping the cabbage or stuffing the turkey. There's many, many jobs. I'm as probably cook maybe 8 different vegetables for Christmas lunch, a whole variety, and it's just great. Plus you've got the turkey, plus you've got your starter, plus you've got your desserts. So it's a lot of preparation. And we get all of the fiddly peeling, chopping, sorting done on Christmas Eve, because you're quite right. Thanksgiving Day is a day when actually you want to be thankful. Christmas Day is a day you want to be thankful. You want to be surrounded by your family, and you don't want to be stuck in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So we're not. I mean, I'm just not stuck in the kitchen, and that's how we get around it, and that's organization as much as anything else.
Something that always happens to us, and I don't know why. You would think, here I'm 48 years old, so you would think by now we would just kind of know, but it always happens on Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving morning. We wake up super early, we put the bird into the oven for it to start cooking, and then a couple hours later, everyone else starts waking up, and then we go to make something for breakfast, and we always choose something to put in the oven, and there's the turkey in the oven. And I don't have my fancy big house with the double ovens yet. So what do you have any ideas for a great morning? Because you don't want to eat too much because you're going to have this big lunch. Do you have any suggestions on something that would be fun and easy to cook up for people?
Oh, I'd go with something like poached eggs on toast.
What's a poached egg on toast?
Oh, okay. There you go. Language. Don't we love our language? So if you're poaching, you're literally going to take an egg and you're going to put it into, let's say, a frying pan and half fill it with water. And you're going to put your egg into that once it's boiling, and it will cook in about 2.5, 3 minutes. And that's a poached egg. So it's quite a light dish, but obviously it's your protein. You've got your bread there as well, which is going to help you sustain your way through. I don't know what Thanksgiving is like in the way of treats around the house, but on Christmas Day, I can tell you there's many treats around our house. So the children are going to, I know they're going to, so there's no point pretending otherwise, nibble on some of those as well. So they don't need a huge amount, but I do want them to have something. As it happens, our traditional Christmas breakfast actually is a cold cooked ham and poached eggs. So that's not in the oven, and it's all prepped the day before. I would have cooked it the day before, and it would have been in the fridge. So it's all done and ready.
Nice.
But yeah, maybe scrambled eggs on toast. Do we get that one?
Yeah, you can do that little tacos, migas, whatever they call them,
Breakfast tacos. The reason I most probably wouldn't do breakfast tacos in this house is because then you're throwing, the meat and the eggs and quite a lot of things and wrapping up, and it actually becomes quite substantial. And as you said, the main meal is quite big.
Right. You never want to eat too much, but yet you still need to eat something. So yeah, I like a little bit of protein in there. I'll have to try a poached egg sometime. I've always heard of them, but it just seems illogical to throw some egg in water and watch it boil. So
okay. I don't know if anyone from England is on here, but they're going to be like, really? Okay.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love to tell, because my whole family comes from Texas, so I'd love to say, we're going to have poached eggs this morning. I mean, it would just be hilarious just to see the reaction.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe I can be a fly on the wall for that.
Right, exactly.
We don't live too far apart. I know you're north, I'm south, but I'm happy to give you a cooking lesson on that one time.
Nice.
Honestly.
Well, and there's a lot of things that happen that I think that, really kind of translates also to what most people don't think of tradition as something that also equals into things that you do for your business. And I know that a lot of people don't ever correlate the two together, but I find that if you start a tradition with your clients, with your connections, there's this great, you know, kind of interweaving that happens, you know, as you build that relationship. And I know that, you know, sending them a little box of something you made personally is just such a very heartfelt type of offering. Don't you feel that?
I definitely feel that. And I obviously do a lot of cooking in this house, and that definitely, I would say, benefits my neighbors around here. Because we couldn't eat it all. And although I freeze some down, whatever, sometimes I'm just like, kids, run these round the cove. Go and give these, knock on the doors. Because it is nice, and it is nice to share, and it is nice for, you know, people in business. I've turned up to a couple of events, and I turn up with food, because I have that. It does help people remember me as well, for sure, when you turn up with food. Yep. And from my point of view, it's a very good way to get the message across that eating healthily doesn't have to be boring. So I might turn up with mini meringues with some lime mascarpone and a little raspberry on top. But I do, you know, minute ones. Yeah. It tastes delicious, and it's portion control. So really, I'm giving people something. They love it. They remember me. And it's showing them that healthy really is more about portion control and variety than it is about starving yourself and eating lettuce and tomatoes, which both of those items I love, but not all the time.
Well, and, you know, and I find that especially in these holidays, you know, we start our own kind of tradition, sometimes without even knowing it. I started many, many moons ago when I was in my, probably 18, 19 or so. I took a cooking class, I think it was in high school or something. And I started asking my grandmother for recipes from her grandmother, and came up with it's a chocolate chip cookie, but it's got pecans and it uses brown sugar. And so I started making that for Christmas, you know, and just bringing a small thing, and everyone would, but they would eat it down too fast. So I started making bigger and bigger batches. And then, of course, then my family is, you know, split, you know, from divorce and everything. So I got all these houses to go to. So I started making batches for each one. And then a couple of years ago, I didn't do it because it was like so much work, and we're trying to watch our weight, and it's like, you know, it uses real shortening, you know, mixing it. You're like, wow, I can't believe the stuff I'm putting in this. And people were, Tanya, where's your cookies? Where? I mean, they were having fits because I didn't make them. And you realize how it's not just the importance of the cookie, it's the anticipation of things that you love from people you love. Do you have that, something like that you do, and that you're like, really, I love those cookies that much, I have to, you know, spend hours making them?
Most definitely. And we have traditions here in the house. There's cakes and things that I only make at Christmas, and partly because it does keep them very special. And it's become, as you say, a tradition. Mince pies are a big tradition in Britain. That's our mince meat, so your apple and dried fruit, brown sugar, sort of thing, all in together. And you put that into short crust pastry.
So mince meat is fruit?
Yes, it is.
I always thought it was the meat.
No. I can tell you a very funny story about that. I was once in Sarawak, Malaysia, for Christmas, and they had cooked a traditional English Christmas dinner, and they ended it with mince pies for us. And they were literally did look like your mince pies in the short crust pastry. And, you know, you took a bite, and goodness me, you should have seen the effect around the room, because it did have minced beef in it, not minced meat. And I've never forgotten it. Never.
Right? Because you would think minced meat. I mean, like, you know, yeah, it seems like that's what it would be made out of.
And basically, it's made out of the same things that our Christmas cake is made out of, and our Christmas pudding is made out of. And we've had a discussion before on Christmas pudding, and I told you I'd make you one. Well, Christmas puddings are made early because they need to sit and wait. So, Tonya, your Christmas pudding's already made.
You're kidding! Oh, I'm so excited.
They are made. Yes, I actually have videoed doing it all. So I will try and get that up on YouTube in the next week. I've got another course that's coming to fruition, so I've got to focus on that first. But then you can actually see how we make it as well.
So tell everybody about this Christmas pudding, because the story just blew me away. Tell people what Christmas pudding is.
Christmas pudding is on Christmas Day, what we would have after our Christmas lunch, which is very, very like your Thanksgiving lunch of a roast turkey and lots of veg and things. We don't quite go for marshmallows on top of sweet potatoes and a few of the other interesting dishes that I've received here. Very interesting dishes. But our dessert, generally speaking, is Christmas pudding. And a Christmas pudding is a boiled pudding. And I have learned that is something that's more alien here in Texas, to boil things. I've definitely learned that.
We don't boil an egg, and that's about it. And noodles. Noodles and eggs, that's about it. But no poaching.
No poaching, yeah, but we're going to get you there on poaching, because you need to be able to poach pears and salmon and all sorts. So we'll get you there on poaching. It's not a problem. So it's as I said, it's a boiled pudding. So you're actually going to put your cherries and mixed peel and sultanas, currants, brown sugar, some egg. I put Guinness in mine.
You put what in yours?
Guinness. It's a beer from Ireland.
You put a beer from Ireland.
So anyway, mix that all together, and you're then going to put it into your pudding basin. You're going to seal your pudding basin, wrap it up. I wrap it in muslin, and that gives me something to hold it by. And then you boil it. So you're going to boil it for about 2 hours. Then take it out, and I put a bit of brandy on the top, seal it, and put it in my fridge. And I'm going to make sure there's brandy sitting on top of it, just a small sliver, all the way through till Christmas, because it will soak down slightly. And then on Christmas Day, once you've got most things are coming off of the stove and out of the oven, you're going to put it back on to boil again for another 2 hours. Wow. Because one, that'll heat it totally back up, and it finishes cooking everything, and you've really let the flavors mull together anyway over the last couple of months. Then we tip it out onto a platter. We normally put some holly on the top, pour some warmed brandy, and set it alight. And that's how we would present our Christmas pudding.
That's amazing.
With either brandy butter, brandy cream, or brandy sauce. So
that's amazing.
It's very delicious.
And you do this, and you were saying something about that it's good luck to stir. Everybody gets to stir the pudding.
And we have done that, yes. So everybody comes over, and even the people who are coming to join us for Christmas and obviously aren't here, they actually got the text, right? You know, come on, you need to come on over. So they scheduled coming in the next day and stirred it. And you make a wish. You always make a wish. So yes, it is a long process, if you like, but the house smells divine. And as you said, it's just rooted in tradition, right. And you can't beat that.
When growing up, I was so against tradition, and it just never made sense, because things that don't make sense to me, I have a hard time kind of grasping. But as I've gotten older and have children of my own, I could see the value in the base traditions that we create within our own family. And you can create anything. You know, one of my sister has that little elf shelf guy that sits around, and they move it around, and they love it. And it's so important to that family, even though the kids are grown, they're still doing the little shelf elf moving around thing. So, you know, it's funny how we have these expectations as we grow up, you know, that really kind of gives us a foundation, I think. And it's a solid place. I think it's a warm place to go back to.
I think tradition is always a comfort zone, and we all need comfort zones. And for those of us pushing our businesses, then we are frequently outside our comfort zones. So holidays and food and cooking all actually help bring back that calm and that balance to everybody. The whole house, you know, levels out. So
Yeah,
you're right.
I love it. And, you know, when growing up, my family's, you know, a little odd anyways, can you tell? And we're going to have a byproduct of ourselves. But one of the things that bothered me growing up is I wanted this, probably what you would consider this English traditional or this American traditional Christmas. And I wanted everyone to sing Christmas songs, and I wanted all of this excitement of the presents and this kind of just jolly feeling. But in my household, we would go to my grandparents and we would play poker. And that was Christmas Eve. Every Christmas Eve, my aunts would invite their massive amount of friends, and my grandparents would invite a few, and it would be in this little house, so many people stuffed in, smoking cigars and cigarettes and playing poker. And as a kid, I so longed for that thing that was on the TV. Until I got older, and now that my grandparents are passed away, I really longed for it because it was such a jolly kind of festive, you know, and everybody looked forward to Christmas Day. We all knew what was going to go on. We were all there to have fun. You know, everyone laughed. Everyone was just happy. And I tried to change it when I was, you know, early teens, because I was like, I want, you know, us to sing Christmas songs. And of course it didn't change, but it was just this incredible opportunity because I was looking at it as a negative instead of what value it brought. And now that I'm much older, you know, I can kind of reflect back.
Yeah, and I think as we grow older, we take some of those traditions from our childhood, the ones that we did like, and as you say, our opinions on those change over time as well, but we can add them into our family. So my children definitely get a mixture of my upbringing, which a bit like you, is a divorced household, you know, different sets of parents, grandparents and what have you. And that makes for a jolly mix with different traditions coming in. So I think now I love our Christmas that we have and how we have it. I would say my children do as well. But, you know, you might need to ask them.
Well, and I know for me, because I've got so much family, you know, we've just got people everywhere. We would do this, we do every year this big twirl around Texas, going and visiting all the family members. And when growing up, it just seemed crazy that we were running around. And I remember my son was born right before Christmas on the 15th of December. And so we decided to stay home that Christmas, and everyone mailed us the presents, and we had a very small, my daughter was about 8, and so it was a very small, quiet, we didn't have to go any place Christmas, but I long to go and see everybody. It was the most miserable Christmas, and so many people are like, oh, you're so lucky you didn't have to, you know, run around and drive any place. I'm like, I was not the lucky one this year.
Yeah, I would have said, excuse me, why weren't you all driving and dropping into me?
Yeah, exactly.
I've done it every year. Why weren't you doing it to me? Yeah, sometimes family do that to us, don't they? Okay, you can't come, bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and because everyone's used to the traditions of going to those people's houses, you know, you're going to the grandparents' house. So our tradition is always about the grandparents. And as I get older and the grandparents are no longer there, it goes down to my parents, you know, and so now we're kind of divorced from my aunts. We don't get to see them, right? They're not in the same, because they're their own grandparents now. So even though we were all very close together, it's almost like we've grown apart, even though we text and we're constantly on Facebook and talking all the time. So it's kind of an interesting, you know, challenge.
You could move to a different country and then see what your Christmas is like. I can't even
imagine.
Seriously.
I'm sure there was things that you really had to adjust for, not just, you know, the change of countries in what is done here versus there, but just the traditions you're used to doing with your family.
We did. We had a lot of things that suddenly reared their head on things like Christmas, a very traditional time of year. And we realized that it was going to be a very, very different ball game. You certainly wouldn't be outside having your starter for your Christmas meal in England. And we did that the first year. And it was novel. Don't get me wrong, it was novel. But now I don't care what our weather is like here. And for those listening out there, I'm in Austin, Texas now. I light a fire on Christmas Day, even if that means we have to have the AC on and cranked low because outside. I don't care. I want a fire. The only day of the year that I'm that cranky about the whole thing, by the way. But I missed that crackling, lovely fire with the tree and everything. I couldn't, and I just realized, yeah, it's worn off now, this heat and this sun. I need a fire.
You know, and you.
Sometimes
I know, and it's always interesting to me to talk to people about their own traditions in their own, you know, families, because it's like, what? You do that? I can't imagine. I always do this, you know, and you start seeing how different everybody's experiences are. And some people have the most amazing, you know, things that they have to do every time. And you just can't even imagine that that would be the thing that you would have to do. You know, one of my friends, they have to go chop down the tree, you know, on Christmas Eve to bring it in, to set it up. And I'm like, that would be so much work. And then you're only getting to enjoy it for a couple of days. That doesn't even make sense. But they love it, right?
Yeah, we definitely don't put our tree up anywhere near as early as some people do around here.
I've got a neighbor that already has all their lights up already down the street.
I know.
I'm like, all right, this is just too early. Y'all are like beaten. We haven't got to Thanksgiving. So we always do our, you know, start sprucing and getting everything ready right after Christmas that weekend. You know, it's kind of the, all right, if we don't do it this weekend, it's not going to get done type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. There are traditions, and you pass them down, and as you say, that's what the children remember as well. And even if you don't realize you've made it a tradition, that's what they remember.
Yeah,
so,
and a lot of the things that that I remember even growing up, because I had such a turmoil type of, you know, childhood, and there wasn't a lot that was very happy. And those moments are so significant. You know, Thanksgiving was always a day that there wasn't any fighting. You know, I think because everyone was just too full and they were watching football. So I didn't have to worry about, you know, things going wrong on Thanksgiving. And so Thanksgiving to me has a very significant happy feeling in my core.
Yes, we've definitely taken Thanksgiving under our wing and enjoy it for a number of reasons. One, there's no presents, so you don't have that whole stress that goes with it. Not that I would say the presents are a stress necessarily at Christmas. We put ours out as soon as the tree goes up, so the kids have to look at them for like a week and a half before Christmas. And there's nothing they can do about it.
Exactly. I always remember my mother, because we would be whining, you know, I would open a present early, because my mother would start putting out presents, because her tradition is to start buying Christmas presents right after Christmas when the sales are on and everything. And so she would put them out right after Thanksgiving, and we're sitting there for 4 months looking at presents, and we're like, I want to open a present early. And so she would always let us open one. It would always be, you know, socks or something.
Yeah, I don't let you open one in this house, so don't come here. I'm a mean mom. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Thanksgiving for us has turned into a day where, you know, lots of food, friends, family, and we really do relax and enjoy it. And obviously the children are off school and they need it actually. They're normally quite tired by then anyway.
Yeah. Do you, so if you do turkey on Christmas, what are you doing on Thanksgiving then?
You're quite right, because I learned very quickly I couldn't do a roast turkey on Thanksgiving. It totally ruined it five weeks later, or it was 3 weeks later. It was just like, no, this can't happen. We will be doing a deep fried turkey, which was a whole new ball game. When I first got told you could deep fry a turkey, I was like, absolutely not happening on my watch. No way. So, you know, I have to try all these things. I like trying and tasting different things. So we did deep fry one as a trial run. And I was absolutely stunned at how much the oil never went past the skin. It sealed it in, and how quickly you could cook a giant turkey, and how succulent the turkey was. Not oily, nothing. So we will do that. But we serve salads, and we're out on the decking, and everyone's just bringing something or other to turn it really into salad. And this year, a friend's just got a smoker, so he's going to smoke and maybe a turkey, just a small one, because I don't know what I think of smoked turkey either, by the way. Everything here in Texas is smoked. You might think we boil everything, but you guys smoke everything.
Smoke and barbecue.
We're away. I have never seen so many things smoked. So I'm going to try that, and I look forward to trying that.
I know, it's so funny because each person in our family has the thing that they love, and if it's not there, you know, it's like this person suddenly at, you know, whatever their age is, has a little tantrum. Mine's always...
Well, about 7 years ago, I hosted Thanksgiving here for some friends that were leaving Austin to go back to California. They had given us our first ever Thanksgiving the year before. So I'd only ever done a Thanksgiving at their house. And you were quite right, because Victoria was like, okay, we have to have the sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top. And I had to look that recipe up. I tell you, I will never eat that again.
It's not my favorite. But my sister, don't you not have those yams and it's usually got syrup too. It's like dripping with sugar. It's like too much for me.
It's a vegetable. I still haven't got over that.
Well, they say
and then it was.
Well, see, I'm eating my vegetable. What part's vegetable now? It's just mushy, you know.
Yeah. There was nothing vegetable by the time they had finished that. There was a green beans cooked in basically mushroom soup. And I was like, that is gross. And then there was, I think there were like 4 different pies. Her husband had to have all 4 pies. He likes to slice. I think we had the pecan pie, the apple pie.
Pumpkin.
There was something else. I can't remember. Pumpkin. And I just said to Victoria, pumpkin, there you go, of course. There was pumpkin. And I just said, you bring the pies. I'll tell you what, just bring the pies. It's going to be fine. And I mastered all the veg. I just asked local friends and said, give me your recipes. You know, let me do this. And it was an eye-opener for us. You know, there were strawberries in one hot vegetable dish. We don't tend to heat strawberries up in Britain. So that was a real surprise to have strawberries and vegetables in the same dish and what have you. But I made sure this was a Thanksgiving that they would enjoy. Yeah. And you're quite right. I got a list of, we have to have this. This is family tradition. I was like, oh,
I know.
I have never done Thanksgiving like that again.
There's always something, you know, and for us, it's like, my favorite is you have to do the dressing, and it has to be my grandmother's dressing recipe, which is a cornbread base versus a lot of people use bread or something like that. We put a little bit of bread, but most of it's cornbread. And it has to have a certain amount of sage and poultry seasoning and everything. You know, it's got to be chopped up with, you know, some onions and celery and, you know, all this eggs. You know, you put it all together with the stock from the turkey. And one year, my sister, who had gotten into being all organic and everything, bought the cornbread, but it was not the traditional cornbread. So when we cooked it, it was awful. It had no flavor. And here I was having a tantrum that year because I was like, this is what I've been waiting for all year, is the stuffing.
Yeah. You're quite right. How I stuff the turkey every year is huge to the children. And we love to have cold turkey and stuffing sandwiches on Boxing Day or the 26th.
What's Boxing Day?
December.
What is
Yes.
Boxing Day?
Pardon? It's the 26th of December. And that's traditionally a holiday in Britain as well. And it's the day going way back into tradition. Well, if you watch Downton Abbey, you're there. Okay, it's the day that the servants or below stairs staffs would be given their boxes of food and off they would go. And that would be their Christmas day. And then the above stairs would have cold meats, pickles, and anything left over from Christmas Day. And that is very traditional in Britain. That's how we all tend to work our Christmas Day and our Boxing
I've always
Day.
heard of Boxing Day, but I never knew really what it was. So now I know.
Oh, well, if you're watching the Downton Abbey, you're good now.
I'll have to start watching. So when you look at, the certain things like cranberry sauce, and we always just got it in a can, right? And then I found out cranberries are real berries. But growing up, I just saw this like jelly, and you get it to come out, and it stays the form. You slice the little, and there was your cranberry sauce. But you can actually make cranberry sauce.
Yeah. Have you made it now?
Well, that's what I love cranberries. I've gotten into cranberries like in muffins, and I put cranberries in like a gazillion things. But I don't know how to actually make cranberry sauce.
Okay, it has got to be one of the easiest things that you could do. So literally, you're going to take, let's say, 1 cup of water, maybe 3 teaspoons of sugar, boil it or heat it until the sugar's dissolved. Put your fresh cranberries in, put a pound of fresh cranberries in there. Put the lid on and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. You've got cranberry sauce.
I figured you'd have to do a gelatin so nothing like that. It's just the cranberries.
It is literally just cranberries. Your little bit of sugar in there. So basically you're starting off with a sugar syrup, and I honestly will put the correct recipe. I can put that up on my website for people. But it literally is so simple. It's so easy to make. And it's one of those, for me, everything should be about fresh. So try and always use fresh. And you were saying your sister moved to this other type of cornbread and it just didn't have any flavor. One of the problems I find is people think, well, I'm going to go fat-free because that's healthier. But that isn't necessarily healthier because the process the food had to go through to make it fat-free. But in all honesty, cornbread's also very easy to make. You don't actually need to buy it in the packet. So if you literally got your cornmeal and you're starting, then you can change out the fat that's in it anyway to a healthy fat. Like butter is a healthier fat than margarine because margarine's man-made and butter isn't. So your body can break it down. So just sticking with natural fats, actually, nobody says don't have fats. Your body needs them, but you need to put the natural fat in. Your body can break down coconut oil. It can break down grapeseed. It can break down butter. It doesn't know what to do with things like the canolas and the mixed and the man-made and margarines.
Right.
So
it makes total sense.
Yeah, just be careful what we're changing up for healthy there. But yes, this year you are to make fresh cranberry sauce, man.
Sounds like a plan. That sounds easy enough for me, even. You know what?
It's on the back of the stove. You just get it going, back of the stove, forget about it.
Do you, so the other day I experimented, so you'll be very happy with me. I grabbed a hold of a pomegranate. And I did the whole getting the little seeds out, which was actually really fun, by the way. I really thought that was really fun. But now I didn't know what to do with them because I ate some, but the seeds in each one of those little seed thingies, they were so yummy, but then you got the seed part. What do you do with pomegranate stuff?
In all honesty, we have something called a compost heap. So if something's too fiddly for me, I just end up putting it through to the compost. I want simple and quick in my kitchen, by the way.
But how do you take it out? How do you, because obviously if you're eating, you just can't, like scoop and eat because you got all the seeds in it. So there's no way to kind of separate the little juicy part from the seeds, right?
What do you think is going to happen if you ate the seeds?
Know. It just didn't, it was like, nah, nah, nah. I don't know. It wasn't, you got this, ooh, from the tangy, sweetie part of it, and then all of a sudden you have the seed left in your mouth. And you're like,
well, and I will research for you and come up with 10 different things that you can do with, and how to do that on your pomegranates. I do not get those very often, so I am going to commit to finding you other things that you can do with your pomegranates.
Oh, thank you. I just like this. It tastes so good, and then you got this yucky seed thing in the way, and I'm like, I wonder what people are doing with these things, because I really liked it, but it was like this love-hate all at the exact same time.
Yeah, but you can, all the seeds will do, because actually seeds and things are very good for your body. And if your body can't break them down, then actually they're excellent roughage, and it's what your whole system needs anyway. You shouldn't just only put processed, easy to go stuff through your system. So, okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Fine. And if anybody listening, if y'all have any questions, you could type it into the little chat area, and we would love to get you your questions answered. If you have something you would like to make and you don't know how to make it, or if you're getting something in a can that once it comes out, it still looks like the can. It would be great to know what to do with those.
Yeah.
So when you make cranberry sauce, is it kind of, is it solid, or is it still kind of like jelly, or what does it look like then?
So while it's hot, which actually traditionally we must probably serve it warm.
Oh, we do.
But
because ours is always cold.
Yeah. Yes, well, it would be if you're taking it out of a jar as well. But it's freshly made, so I'm going to make it I'm likely to make it, as I said, on Christmas Eve. That's when I would make it. But if I've warmed it up on the morning, and I might have for Christmas Day, or I've just put it out so it's at room temperature, at that point, yes, it's, let's try and think of because the sugar in the water and then the berries breaking down, you haven't put a lot of water in there. You put enough to get them going, and then they break down slightly, although they're pretty much holding their shape, but they'll break down slightly. You get quite a nice thick sort of consistency with it. But if you want to turn it into a jelly, then that takes a different level of work. It doesn't take much longer, in all honesty, and there's most probably quite a bit of pectin in your cranberries, so they're likely to go quite nicely for you. You just need to boil for longer. If you did that, you are losing that freshness of fresh cranberries. So I would make jellies for when cranberries are not in season. When they're in season, which obviously is now, then actually have them fresh. Don't try and preserve them. We preserve food for when it's not in season, and we have a glut of it. But we don't need to, at Christmas or Thanksgiving, do that. We can just literally make a fresh cranberry sauce.
So you don't need to squish them or anything. They just stay kind of berry looking.
When the water starts boiling, sugar water will boil at a much higher temperature anyway. So by default, they are most probably going to split. And some of them definitely will split. Some will be smaller than others, and so they're going to break down faster than the larger ones. But you should end up totally looking at a sauce. I mean, it will be totally cranberry red. Right. But you are looking at a sauce that still has some, whole cranberries in it. And it's very tasty.
Nice. I can't wait. I think I'm going to just try it before then, just to practice.
And that's a really good plan, by the way. Never, ever on a major day try and do something new. The amount of times people have said to me, I'm going to try this brand new on that day. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not the day.
Well, and that was a big transition for us, you know, with our family. My grandmother passed away when she was very young. She was 62. And so that was 1990. It was right before my husband and I got married. And suddenly that Thanksgiving came along and we were like, oh my gosh, she had all the recipes. She knew what to do. She was the one who kind of masterminded all of Thanksgiving and then Christmas and all with the Christmas ham, right? And so suddenly we're like, what do we do? And thank goodness she had kind of scratched down roughly the recipes, but then it was like a pinch of this, and you're like, how much is a pinch? You know, get a scoop of this. Well, is that a small spoon? Is that a big spoon? What kind of scooping are we doing? It was very trial and error, and then we wrote it all down, you know, to make sure we all have the recipes now.
Yeah, one of the things with what I'm doing with my whole Fabulous Kitchen Coach work is it's dawned on me that my great grandchildren can watch me cook, because I've now started putting all these videos on YouTube. I've got an online course out there. I'm writing a cookbook. I'm doing all of these things. And for that exact reason, it actually makes me smile. I'm like, wow, they will still have somebody showing them and doing things and be able to do it.
Yeah.
My grandmother passed away last year, and it's still her Christmas pudding recipe that is actually still in her handwriting, which was a moment when I took it down and there's Gran's handwriting to do it. And it's her Christmas cake recipe that I do. So it's my mum and I and my gran. In fact, at one point it was my gran, my mum, myself and my daughter all would stir the Christmas pudding and make it. And we used to make like 16 of these because they would go out to all the family.
Wow.
So the fact that I've just made 4 this year is quite pathetic, really. But there's not so many people who want them.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, so when I had some recipes from my grandmother on my mother's side, and then my grandmother on my father's side, and some of those recipes I didn't realize I'm the only one who ever wrote them down, because I was in a kitchen one time and it was like, hey, let me write down what you're doing, you know. And I think it was that year that I took cooking in high school. Yeah. And
that was a good year for you, Tanya.
Right? And so people, you know, so I didn't realize that people didn't have these recipes. And so one day I just kind of, you know, threw that out, you know, and texted to some people, and suddenly they were bawling and crying, and, you know, and they all went to make these, you know, my grandmother would make this oatmeal cake. Now, as a kid, we call it Meemaw's cake, because you certainly didn't want the kids to know it was oatmeal, but it would have a lemon icing on it, and it was brilliant. I have still, to this day, I can't get it to work. So whatever I wrote down, something's off, and I can't quite figure it out. But that's, you know, it's like the food is like the center of our family discussions a lot of times, you know.
And they definitely are. When my eldest son was, he was home last Christmas, but he wasn't here the one before. He was in Japan. What happened was he contacted me and said, I want to cook Christmas lunch out here. Now, my children can cook. And I was like, okay. And he said, I just, you know, want to work out what I'm doing and I need tips and whatever. And I was like, no problem. And his Christmas day was our Christmas Eve. So we were in our kitchen prepping. Well, he was in the barracks kitchen actually cooking. The only hiccup for me as a mother was the fact that there were no vegetables in sight. Potatoes don't count for me. He was like, oh, I need vegetables. I just need the meat and the potatoes. Okay, Jack. You know, you're in Japan and you're still cooking a traditional Christmas lunch. And I mean, a very proud moment. But it's for him, it was all about the food. And when he surprised us last Christmas and turned up on Christmas Eve here from Japan, and we had no idea he was coming. He was like, yeah, I'm not missing another one of your Christmases, Mum. I need the food. And I was like, you're missing us as well, aren't you? And he said, well, Christmas is more about the food, Mum. More about the food. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It definitely is in this house. You know, they all know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And even though we change up some things, you know, the starter might be slightly different. I might switch around some of the veg on, you know, how am I going to do the Brussels sprouts this year or whatever. But there's a real tradition running through on all that food, all the cakes, all the desserts. And they're just like, no, we're here. We're here. Give it to us.
So funny, you know. And I wanted to just take a moment for everyone to find Tamsin. This is Tamsin Cochran, by the way. She's my very special guest star. Her information is over in the little chat window, so that you can click over on her website to find out more. And I'm Tanya Hoffman, and this is the Tanya Hoffman's Fabulous TV Show. And I'm super excited that you are our guest today, joining us and having some fun, hopefully listening to us chat about traditions and cooking. And now I know what to do with cranberries. And if you would like to be one of our guest stars on my show, I would love for you to be. So just simply go to publicspeakersassociation.com, join, and all my fabulous members gets to come on at the featured speakers level. So go check it out. We would love for you to come and tell people your message, you know, here Tamsin's changing your life and hopefully giving you some really great ideas, and you could do the same thing. So I really want to encourage you to go out and change the world the way that we are. And if you're interested in booking Tamsin, obviously go to her website. You could also go and find more information on her at publicspeakersassociation.com. Under the speaker search, you can find me or her or any of our fabulous speakers if you're putting on an event. I know that Blab sent me an email the other day asking me to put on a conference, so it looks like I'm going to be doing a Blab conference. So we'll let y'all know more about that and get more information, and sounds like fun. I don't know. I like just having a good time. So we are coming up to the kind of top of the hour. How you are going to give something amazing away to our guest listeners and people that are on the recording too. What is that today?
Well, my passion, as you know, is to get people cooking back out there. I just think if we can get everybody in the kitchen, not just the women, as you were saying, is traditional on your Thanksgiving Day, but, you know, let's prep early or, you know, get everybody cooking. Children need to know how to cook for exactly the things that you've just been saying. You know, actually, unfortunately, death is an inevitable part of life, and those recipes can vanish away, and that is sad. So I have got a kitchen basics course out there at the moment. And it actually takes you right through. It even tells you, Tanya, how to poach.
Nice.
There's a video on how to do it. Yeah, I know. That's good, isn't it? But it takes you through every single cooking technique as a single subject and gives you a video on it. It takes you through all the different knives that are out there, and it gives you, there's pictures of them as well. It takes you through your food safety, your kitchen safety, your cleaning. It takes you through how to cut everything, all different vegetables and meat. It takes you through all your pots and pans, essential in the kitchen, nice to have, and a total luxury. It's got lots of different sections. That course is out there on Udemy for $50. But I'm going to put into the message area now a code. So if you go to www.udemy.com/kitchen-basics, which I'll also, should I do that right now as I'm saying it?
Yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat window. Yes,
I'm going to give you a code that when you put that in to Udemy, you can get that course for just $10.
Nice.
So that's going to give you all that foundation. And even if you know you can cook, but you feel like teaching your children is just, woo, you know, they don't listen to me, I don't think I want to deal with this. you can get that course and they can be the ones watching it, looking at it, learning about it. Because we actually need to start them now. Believe it or not, they grow up and leave home. And if you haven't shown them some of the basics in the kitchen, it overwhelms them. It really does. So we don't want to overwhelm them. I'm just going to type in here. Do you see I leapt forward there? Let me put the...
So while Tamsin's doing that, and I want to offer you also, I do a contest every month. It's always on the first of the month. So you want to jump in now so you make sure you won't forget, especially since it's 11/11. It's a special day because anything that's double is always doubly good. And so you can jump in on my contest, and I'm posting it right there. So it's tanyahoffman.com/win/. And or you can just get to it from the front page, either way. And remember, my name is Hoffman, is with one F and two N's, because my husband's family doesn't know how to spell it right. So don't forget that. But you can win an hour coaching call with me. So if you need any advice on how to be a speaker, how to be in business, how to find more clients, how to use Blab, whatever I could help you with, I would love to do that. So go fill that out and take advantage of that contest. Perfect. And so Cochran, I read your Twitter name. So Tamsin's information is right there. So she's given you the special code to put in to get it for $10. So the Udemy, there you go. I see her right of it. So what mine is like in the middle. So put the two together of hers and you've got it all good. So make sure you take advantage of that. So Tamsin, I definitely want you to come back as soon as possible so we can have discussions about what to do with something else, crazy that you English people would do. And we're like, what? Maybe we could talk about fried fish and chips. That's what we need to talk about.
Okay, traditional on a Friday. Yes, our fish and chips are slightly different from yours, but they are very delicious. So.
I heard that, and I just keep going, are you talking fish sticks or what?
And in England, we call those fish fingers, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, just on different words. When we arrived and we were looking for fish fingers, I was like, what is this? Something so basic. But yes, we call them fish fingers.
I love talking to people all over the world, and because English is one of those languages that words, it's just the way you pronounce things, And I was talking to one of my friends in England the other day, and she's like, well, when you take those vitamins, and I'm like, vitamins, what's that? Thinking this was some unique thing. She goes, you take them, it's, like minerals and vitamins. And I'm like, vitamins, She goes, oh, I forget y'all call them vitamins.
You are quite right.
We all have to figure out communication skills, right?
Wonderful. There's definitely many words that they take a while, like aluminum and aluminium, or oregano and oregano. We say Parmesan.
Oregano sounds like it's the origami type of thing.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, there's many words actually. It's
laboratory with laboratory. It always sounds like it's some devious mad scientist if you say laboratory.
And there probably is a mad scientist in all honesty if it's in Britain. So you're okay.
Well, thank you. I adore you. I appreciate you coming on my show today.
It was my pleasure, and thank you very much for once again inviting me on. I thoroughly enjoy it, and we had better liaise diaries for me to deliver a Christmas pudding to you.
Yay! Yes, we will definitely do that. Thank you so much, and I'll try to save some my chocolate chip cookies. Do you like chocolate chip cookies?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a problem. I'm not a huge chocolate fan, but the rest of my household, absolutely.
Nice. All right. I'll make you a batch.
I will try one.
Nice. And no one has any pecan issues, right?
We do not.
Nice. No. I know. I was like, you can put pecans in anything and it'll make it taste better.
I have noticed that around here, and cheese on top of anything.
Yeah, that one is a little out of control, but I agree. All right.